she loves me. Isn't it lovely when the one you lusting is the one you're loving?
Mother Earth is coming for everyone. I believe that.
I don't even think that's going to bring us together, though. I had breakfast this morning with a woman I used to work with at Simon and Schuster. Lovely human being, one of my favorite human beings at that place of debauchery and depressed, lack of humanity. She was the one beacon, and has always kind of been, this person that. And we had a conversation today because we're in this neighborhood that's wildly diverse, one of the most diverse towns in all of New Jersey.
Right.
And she's a woman with no melanin, but we have very similar backgrounds and upbringings
Right.
and things. And I was like thinking about what it would take to. And I'm not going to say some of my best friends are white. I'm not going through all of that, but I'm just like, what is it going to take for us to see each other as human beings, as people, and not get caught up in this trick bag of race. At the same time, today I was catching up on Godfather of Harlem, and there's the scene of Malcolm going to Mecca. And I stopped watching it because they switched out Malcolms on me. And I was mad about it because the original Malcolm, I was like, nah, I ain't with this dude.
That's
but
right.
I was like, all right. Somebody was like, just go back in. I think the old dude comes back towards the end. I was like, all right, I'm going to go back. But he's in Mecca and he refused to pray with this guy because he was white. Wow. He was like, we are taught not to pray with. And I'm like, even out of your mouth, as smart as and brilliant as he was, right? To say we're taught not to pray with white people. And I'm sure as it came out of his mouth, because by the end he decided to pray with the man. I'm like, that sounds so stupid. It sounds so stupid. You're not gonna pray with somebody who's invite you to pray because of the color of their skin. And I'm like, I get the trauma that many of us carry around with us, and I get the absolute generational horrors that folk carry in their DNA, right, both epigenetically for Black folk and in the white. Even my ancestors didn't come, and we came through Ellis Island, yes, but you bear the benefit of, even if you're not wealthy or whatever, it's baked in. There has to be some reckoning. But when Dr. Carr came back from Kemet and said he spent 2 weeks not thinking about race, I said, oh, what a blessing to not have to consider your Blackness or your juxtaposition to whiteness or what the racism or the slights, the microaggressions, to not have to do that, and to be focused on, this obelisk and this pyramid, and historically what it meant 2,000, 4,000, 5,000 years ago, must have been glorious.
Must have been glorious. The thing about racism, I think, Karen, is the reason we can't get rid of it is because racism is attached to our love for materialism. See, racism was about ownership. It is about ownership. It will always be about ownership. And materialism is really the extent to which we believe, and we've made ourselves believe, that God agrees with our ownership. So, what time? Let me see what time is it, because
Talk your talk, man. Talk your talk.
I don't know how you make me do it. I don't know how you bring it out of me. But this is really important. It's about ownership. And the reason we cannot, as you said, this might not even be enough to pull us together, is because we can never seem to relinquish our love for ownership and materialism. We use materialism as a measure of success. We use materialism as a measure of spiritual blessing. We use materialism as a means by which to determine whether or not our lives even have value. If we could drop this, because see, really the bringing of Africans here, that was a whole notion of materialism. The whole point was materialism. And then we as Africans fell into the same gap because we've been trying to pray and ask God, when will our turn come? To what?
So the goal is to do what? Right. To the turn come to do what?
To own other things. To own
other people?
That's right, to oppress. Oppressed people dream of the right to oppress.
Ooh. You know what? Hold on. And I know you're right. At the same time, I'm uncomfortable with what you're saying because I know you're right.
Me too.
Yeah. Because some things have happened. It's like there are. Let me just be 100 on this program. I don't know who's listening, right? And I remember it like it was yesterday. I was like, okay, I just want white people to call up today because I need to have a conversation. I need to understand some things. And to be honest with you, because it's satellite, we don't have numbers. I have no idea who's listening. So I was like, maybe no one's gonna call up. It was early. The phone line's lit. Dr. Black, like every line. And I was like, hey, wait a minute. I didn't even know there was like that many enough for them to. So that in that moment, and then somewhere I heard, 30% of the listeners are 30% are white. And I was like, okay, but I don't really, I'm not sitting there. I'm not talking. I'm not changing. I'm not, folding myself to cater to anyone but this truth that I'm talking every day.
Right.
So if you're here, it's because I'm going to assume you want to be here. You want to learn. You're here.
Right.
If you're offended, you'll call up, or you won't, or you'll turn it. But I'm not, your offense is not my problem. You're going to have to figure it out. I'm not changing anything about this. But what I thought in that moment is I'm not, doing this to make anybody feel bad, or this is all about liberation. And hopefully even as a person with no melanin or very little melanin, you're coming in to learn something about yourself and the world around you so that you can be a better person in this world. So that's the goal, right? But I never considered, wanting to own other people or oppress other people. But there are people for whom even that watching the Alabama, brawl, the liberation in that was, we get to, bang somebody over the head. Actually, when I saw the man hit the woman on the head, I didn't like that.
The same here.
I felt like, and it wasn't, anything other than mollywop this woman who was unarmed. Like we get mad, unarmed person, whatever she had done. As a man hitting a woman on top of the head, I had problems with that moment. Everything else I was good with. I was good with the 16-year-old body slamming people. I was good with all that moment. I was like, that you went too far. Hit the men, whatever you want to do. But the lady was sitting on the ground and you rocked her on the head. And I was like, and I can't even really talk about it because then am I a traitor? I'm going through this.
Right.
All right. And now you're frozen. Okay, well, you got to repeat this because your internet went out for like a second because the enemy don't want you to talk.
Okay. See, we keep sending our children and we keep participating in European institutions as a mark of African success. That's the start right there. Ooh. Help me today, God.
All right. Can you pause? Because I'm gonna when you said that, before I came on the show, I have some friends, right? I have a couple of friends. So one of them called me today because he had to pull his child out of school because somebody called her a gorilla or something, right? Now worked hard, got a lot, got the coin, gonna send his children off to this nice fancy school because of the, and now he's finding out more things have been said. And he's like super angry because he was like, I sent her into this space for a better education, not understanding. And I was like, all I could think of is Ruby Bridges and all of the children bust into schools. And some of y'all listening were bust into schools. And all I'm thinking is those teachers didn't want you. Those kids didn't want you. The parents didn't want you. And you're in a hostile environment trying to learn English, writing, arithmetic, and math, while your humanity is being stripped. And some, as we beg to get into Harvard and Yale and all of these places, as validation of something other than like its knowledge is open for everybody. Like, damn it, let's go. And it's about the yes. So continue, Dr. Black. Yes.
So the point here is very simple.
Shouldn't have interrupted you because now
in a sense is to create forms of life and forms of living that make the rest of us proud. See, they boast about it because they know the elders are going to applaud it. What that ultimately means is that we're preparing ourselves to take on the tradition of their oppression. Why? Because their institutions are training us. Come on, somebody. Their institutions would only train people to perpetuate their institutions. And the way their institutions were perpetuated was by means of oppression. So now then we have to be the means of we have to now become the oppressor. And in some instances, that's precisely what people have dreamed, because that looks like then you have evolved out of Negro ship.
So is this is not conscious. None of this is conscious, right?
That's right.
So the goal is to become conscious.
Become conscious. That's right.
Or the goal is to examine the things that you do under this lens, to make sure that you're not being an oppressor.
That's right.
To make sure that you're not, repaying, because revenge, they say is a dish served cold. But should that be the goal? Revenge? Because the thing done happened.
No, and revenge shouldn't be the goal, as much as sometimes I want it. And you know why revenge shouldn't be the goal? I was just teaching this the other day. Because if you ever get revenge, you actually get nothing. Nothing happens for you. Nothing elevates for you. Nothing evolves for you. Revenge happens on the body of someone else, but nothing occurs in you except that your ego blows up. The problem with the ego is that it has no substance. So you never win. I want to win. I want to win. And the way for me to win, is to turn over oppression and to turn over a certain kind of materialism to folks who have it and say, you know what I've discovered? If I ever become equal with you, I'll be less than myself.
Oh, wait a minute.
Karen, I'm gonna have to get off this platform today.
I better stop it. What? Repeat that, please.
If I ever become equal to you, I will be less than myself. And what's crazy about that is that's exactly what we've been seeking for 300 years. And if you get it, you'll be less than what you were.
So, lesson is don't focus on begging people for your humanity or even other people. Like, it's interesting. This is not my constant battle, because I haven't really ever been a person that compared myself to anyone. I don't know why. I'm grateful. Probably because I just couldn't, I never really fit in as a child. And then when I did, become a little popular as, high schooler, I lost the appetite for the popularity. Like, I didn't care whether you liked me or not at that point, which made people like me more, which I thought was weird.
Right.
I was like, oh, so the more aloof I am, the more all right. And I really don't want to be bothered. So it's turned into a thing. But, what you're saying is so powerful, because once your goal is self, to be the best self you can be.
Right.
Not juxtaposed to anybody, right?
That's right.
And that goes beyond race, right?
Because
some of us in a battle with our classmates or with our, fraternity or sororities, we're comparing who has the bigger house, the best car, and all of these things, the best, the closets and the shoes and all, as opposed to like, am I the best me that I can be? That's got to be the goal.
See, the reason people loved you when you didn't care if they loved you is because the most attractive thing on the planet is confidence. Not what you look like. Defiance is what people are attracted to, because defiance means that you can stand whether everything else falls or not. And you are probably one of the most defiant human beings.
Yes. I am. And I'm not mean to be. It's always shocking to me that people have this visceral reaction. The person I was eating with this morning, we were talking about when I was at SiriusXM, I broke into a meeting, a sales meeting. Now I have my own imprint, Dr. Black.
Right.
They're having a whole ass meeting about selling my books, and I'm not there. So I show up to the meeting and I'm like, first of all, here's what you're not going to do. These are my books. And it's a room full of white folk selling my books, okay, to the booksellers. I'm saying, what language are you using? How are you describing these authors? How do you even and you never had a conversation with me. Make this make sense. After the meeting, no one said anything to me, Dr. Black, but the shot heard around the world was, I was belligerent. I came in, I was like, yes, I absolutely was belligerent and outraged. Like, the audacity, the caucasity to sit on a damn meeting and not involve the person that envisioned the whole damn thing. I was like, y'all want some stuff, And I didn't call anybody out of their name. I didn't yell and scream. I didn't throw anything. I was very dignified, actually, But the audacity for me to come in and do that was such an affront that it was the talk. Like, I heard one of the black girls pull me and said, man, what did you do in that meeting? Because they're talking about how you just came in and did. I'm like, but who wouldn't? So I said to her, if I were a white man doing the same, because I watch white men throw things, yell and scream and stomp around in charge, right?
In all the movies.
I would be in charge of the whole damn thing, right? Instead, I'm this belligerent person who had the audacity to come in and tell them what to do with her line. It's got my name on it, on the spine of the book. So I'm just like, yes, I've been defiant, but I don't call it defiance. It's like, this is what should be. I'm supposed to be quiet through that?
And you just made my point, because if they could have a meeting without you, that's called ownership. They thought they owned your product.
Well,
of course they learned, right?
I found out.
I'm saying if we can push ourselves a little bit past materialism, we can stop trying to figure out who's going to get to own who.
On that note,
is ultimately about who's going to get to own who, because we know who owned who for a while at first. Now, and see, what we want to get to as Black people is, I don't want to own you the way you owned me. I don't want to do that. Nor do I need to meet your materialism, your material achievement, in order for my life to feel achieved, in order for my life force to feel like it is divine. But see, we have to really be intentional in order for that to be true, because everything in this world, even our parents told us, listen, go and do better than me. That phrase right there is called self-hatred. That's right. Because if I wasn't supposed to follow you, mama and daddy, who are you sending me to follow? If you're sending me away from the village to do better than you, then who am I looking for?
Malidoma Somé talks about this, right? He writes about this. And then coming back to the village and not being able to interact with the village, and then hating his father for sending him away. And now he has no place in the world that he belongs, and having to reimagine the village.
Ooh. My God. The worst thing in the world is to tell your child to do better than you. That's the worst thing in the world, to tell a child. And most Black parents said it. Most Black parents said it. How can we outwork our mamas and daddies? How will that be possible? How is that possible?
How is that? Well, you know what they're saying. They're not saying be better. They're saying,
But we don't know what they're saying. That's the thing. We actually don't know what they're saying. And some stuff our parents are saying is not what they should be saying. Because what our parents should say? I pray, honey, that you work even half as hard as I've worked.
Because that's the truth. That's the truth.
That's the truth. That is the truth. And I'm telling you, I do not believe that Bill Clinton told Chelsea, be better than me. I don't think that. I don't believe that. I do not believe that. Harriet Tubman tell her children, outrun her.
She smiles and says that she loves me. Isn't it lovely when the one you're lusting is the one